Hello again, my friends. Welcome back to the Speak Easy English Show. It's really good to have you here. In the last episode, we practiced something very important. What to say after hi. Simple questions, simple replies, no pressure. Maybe you tried it and you felt proud for a moment. But then something happens. The other person answers, and then they stop. And you stop. And suddenly, silence again. Yes, this is the moment many learners fear. You think, okay, now what? And your mind goes blank. If this happens to you, please don't feel bad. This is normal. This happens to almost everyone who is learning. And today, we fix this. We will learn how to continue a conversation in a calm, simple way. By the end of this episode, you will have easy follow-up lines ready, so you can keep talking naturally. Before we start, I just want to say thank you for waiting. I'm sorry for the delay, but I wanted this lesson to feel calm, safe, and helpful for you. I want you to pause with me for a moment. Not to think, not to remember rules, just to listen. If you're watching this right now, I know something about you. You want to speak English, but somewhere inside you feel a little nervous. Maybe your heart feels tight. Maybe your mind says, what if I say something wrong? What if I forget a word? What if I sound stupid? Let me say this clearly, and I want you to really hear it. You do not need to be fast. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to impress anyone. You only need one simple next sentence. That's it. English is not a race. It's not a competition. And it is definitely not a test. Conversation is not a performance. It's not a speech you prepare in your head. Conversation is just two human beings sharing small moments. That's all it is. And here's something very important I want you to know. Even confident speakers pause. Even people who speak English every day stop, think, and say, or stay quiet for a second. So if you pause, you are not failing. You are being human. I've been teaching for a long time, and I've seen this again and again. The students who improve the most are not the fastest ones. They are not the loudest ones. They are the ones who feel safe. Safe enough to try. Safe enough to pause. Safe enough to make mistakes without feeling ashamed. So let me promise you something right now. In this space, no one is judging you. Not me, not other students, not the world. This is not a place where English needs to be perfect. This is a place where English needs to be honest. If your sentence is short, that's okay. If your voice is quiet, that's okay. If your hands feel a little nervous, that's okay too. Learning happens exactly there. I want you to imagine this like a real classroom. You are sitting in front of me, not to be tested, not to be corrected, but to be guided. Here, we speak slowly. We don't rush, we don't push. We practice gently, like learning to walk, one small step at a time. And some days you'll feel confident, other days you'll feel shy again. That doesn't mean you're going backward. That means you're learning. Confidence does not come suddenly. It grows quietly, sentence by sentence, day by day. And I want you to remember this one thing, because many students forget it. You are allowed to be a beginner. You are allowed to learn slowly. You are allowed to make mistakes and still be respected. So before we continue, let's do something very simple together. Relax your shoulders, take one slow breath in, and let it out gently. You're not late. You're not behind. You're right where you need to be. And I'm right here with you. So let's continue, calmly, safely, together, one small sentence at a time. All right. Now that you're relaxed, let's learn something very simple, but very powerful. I want you to forget big rules for a moment. Forget grammar books. Forget long sentences. To continue a conversation in English, you only need 3 small tools. That's it. Not 10, not 20, just 3. And I promise you, these tools are safe. You can use them anywhere. At work, at school, with friends, even with strangers. Let me show you. Tool 1, ask a follow-up question. Tool 2, give a small comment. Tool 3, use an easy back question. Think of these tools like 3 small keys in your pocket. You don't need all of them at once. Even one key is enough to open a conversation door. Let's start with tool 1, the easiest one. Key, follow-up questions. A follow-up question means you don't change the topic. You simply stay with what the other person said. For example, if someone says, "I'm good," many students stop here. They smile and then feel stuck. But you don't stop. You gently ask, "That's nice. What did you do today?" That's it. Short, natural, very friendly. Or even simpler, "Oh, nice. How was your day?" Notice something important here. These are easy questions, not smart questions, not perfect questions, just normal human questions. Now, another example. If someone says, "I'm tired," you don't panic. You don't search for difficult words. You simply say, "Oh, why?" One word, very powerful. Or, if you want to be a little softer, "Was it a busy day?" See how calm that feels? You are not leading the conversation. You are just walking beside it. And that's what good conversation is. Small steps, together. Important note. Many students think they need special questions to sound fluent, but fluency does not come from big words. It comes from continuing. Even one follow-up question keeps the conversation alive. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need speed. You only need interest. Key 2, small comments. Very important. Now let's talk about tool 2, small comments. This tool is very special because it makes you sound human. Before asking another question, you can say a short comment like, "Oh, really? That's nice. That sounds good. Oh, no." These words are small, but they do something important. They show the other person, "I'm listening. I care. I'm with you." Conversation is not only questions, it's connection. And small comments create that connection. Here is a simple pattern I want you to remember. Comment plus question. For example, "That's nice. What did you do today?" "Oh, no. What happened?" "That sounds good. Where did you go?" You don't need to invent anything. Just react naturally. Key 3, the back question, your safety tool. Now tool 3, my favorite one, the back question. This is the best tool for shy learners. If someone asks you, "How are you?" you answer honestly, and then you say, "What about you?" That's it. This sentence is like a safety net. It gives you time. It removes pressure. You don't have to talk a lot. The other person will talk, and you can listen, and then use tool 1 or tool 2 again. Final reminder. You don't continue a conversation by thinking hard. You continue it by being curious. Curiosity is easier than perfect English. So next time your mind goes blank,
Remember this: one small comment, one simple question. That is enough. That is real English, and you are already capable of it.
Now, let's slow down a little, because this tool is very important. Tool 2 is about small comments. And I want you to listen carefully here, because many students skip this part, and they don't even realize it. You see, conversation is not only about asking questions. If you only ask questions, you can sound like a robot or like an interviewer. Real conversation has reaction, and that reaction comes from small comments. These comments are tiny, very small words, but they carry emotion. They tell the other person, "I hear you, I'm listening, I care." And that's what makes you sound human. So instead of jumping quickly from one question to another, you pause and you react. You can say things like, "Oh, really?" Pause. "That's great." Pause. "Nice." Pause. "That sounds good." Pause. "Oh no." Pause. Please notice something important. These are not long sentences. They are not difficult. They don't need grammar rules. But they do something powerful. They make the other person feel comfortable. And when people feel comfortable, they want to continue talking. That's the secret. Conversation is not about perfect English. It's about making the other person feel safe. Now, here is something I tell my students all the time. You don't need to plan these comments. You don't need to memorize them like vocabulary. You just need to feel them. If something is good, you say, "That's great." If something sounds interesting, you say, "Oh, really?" If something sounds difficult, you say, "Oh, no." That's real life. That's how humans talk. And after the comment, you add one simple question. This is the pattern I want you to remember. Comment plus question. Say it again in your mind. Comment, then question. This pattern is very safe, very natural. For example, if someone says, "I went on a short trip," you can say, "That sounds nice. Where did you go?" If someone says, "I had a problem at work," you can say, "Oh no, what happened?" If someone says, "I got a new job," you can say, "That's great. When did you start?" Do you feel the difference? You are not pushing the conversation. You are not forcing words out of your mouth. You are simply responding. And that makes your English sound calm, friendly, and natural. Many students tell me, "Teacher, I don't know what to say." And I always tell them this: you don't need to know what to say, you need to react. Reaction is easier than thinking. When you react, your English flows more easily. And here's another important thing. If your comment is short, that is okay. If you only say, "Nice," and then pause, that is still good English. Silence after a comment is not a problem. It gives space. And space is normal in conversation. So don't rush yourself. Don't panic. Say the comment, pause, then ask a simple question. That's it. Let me say this clearly because many students need to hear this. You do not sound weak when you use simple comments. You sound natural. Simple English is not poor English. Simple English is strong English. So the next time you're talking to someone, remember tool 2. React first, then ask. Small comment, small question. And just like that, the conversation continues, calmly, naturally, one human moment at a time. Now let's talk about tool 3. And I want you to relax your shoulders a little here, because this tool is special. It's the easiest tool of all. And for many shy learners, It's the most powerful one. Tool 3 is called the back question, and it works like this. You don't think, you don't search for words, you don't try to be clever, you simply ask the same question back. That's it. For example, if someone asks you, "How are you?" you answer honestly, even with 1 or 2 words. "I'm good," "I'm okay," "I'm a little tired." And then you say, "What about you?" That one small sentence changes everything. I tell my students this all the time. That line is like a life jacket. When you feel nervous, when your mind feels empty, when you don't know what to say next, you wear the life jacket. What about you? It keeps you floating in the conversation. It keeps you safe. And here's why this works so well. First, it gives you time. When you ask the back question, the other person starts speaking. You don't have to talk. You don't have to rush. You can listen. You can breathe. You can relax your mouth. Second, it removes pressure. Many students feel they must talk a lot. They think they need long answers. But real conversation is shared. You speak a little, the other person speaks a little. The back question creates that balance. Third, it makes you sound polite and interested. When you ask, "What about you?" you are saying, "I care about you. I want to hear your side." And people like that very much. Now, let me say something important. This tool is not lazy English. It is smart English. Native speakers use this all the time, every day, at work, with friends, with strangers. So if you use it, you are not behind. You are speaking real English. I've seen shy students change completely just by using this one line. Before, they stayed quiet. Their eyes went down. Their voice became small. But after learning the back question, something shifted. They felt safer. They thought, "Oh, I don't need to say everything." And that feeling is powerful. Now let me give you a few more examples so you feel comfortable. If someone asks, "Did you have a good weekend?" you answer, "Yes, it was nice." And then say, "What about you?" If someone asks, "Are you busy today?" you answer, "A little." Then say, "What about you?" If someone asks, "How was your work?" you answer, "It's okay." Then say, "What about you?" Simple, safe, natural. And after the other person speaks, you can use tool 1 or tool 2 again. You can ask a small follow-up question or make a small comment. Everything connects. Now, let me tell you this, because many students worry about this. You are allowed to use "what about you" many times. This is not cheating. This is learning. And as your confidence grows, you'll start adding more sentences naturally. But in the beginning, this line is enough. So the next time you feel nervous, remember this. You don't need perfect English. You don't need long sentences. You need one safe bridge to cross the conversation. And that bridge is, "What about you?" Say it calmly. Say it gently. Say it proudly. Because this small question is helping you grow. One safe conversation at a time. Now let me show you something very important. Not theory, not rules, real life. Because English lives in real life, not in books. So imagine this situation with me. You're standing somewhere simple. Maybe at work, maybe at school, maybe waiting in line for coffee. Someone looks at you and says, "How are you?" This is a very normal moment. Nothing special, nothing scary. You don't need to prepare anything. You simply reply, "I'm good, thank you." And then, very calmly, you add one safe sentence. "What about you?" That's it. Now, pause here for a moment. Do you feel how safe that sounds? You spoke. You didn't rush. You didn't try to be perfect. Then the other person answers. Maybe they say, "I'm a little tired today." Now, many students stop here. Their mind says, "Okay, conversation finished." But no, you gently continue. You don't change the topic. You don't search for big words. You simply respond, "Oh, I see." Small comment, very natural. Then you ask, "Was it a busy day?" And that's it. Look carefully at what just happened. No acting, no pressure, no special vocabulary, just small sentences, one step at a time. This is real English. This is how conversations actually work, and this is how you continue a conversation. Now let me tell you the truth. And this is something I say to my students almost every day. You do not continue a conversation by thinking hard. Thinking hard makes your mind tired, and when your mind is tired, your mouth becomes quiet. You continue a conversation by being curious. Curiosity is much easier than perfect English. Curiosity means you are interested, not in English, but in the person in front of you. And curiosity doesn't need long sentences, it needs very small words. So when you don't know what to say, use these safe reaction words. Really? Oh, nice. That's interesting. Say one of these first. Pause, then ask one small question. And you already know the safest questions in the world. Why? How? Where? When? These are tiny questions, but don't underestimate them. Tiny questions give big results because they do three important things. First, they show you are listening. Second, they invite the other person to talk. And third, they remove pressure from you. You don't need to speak a lot. You just guide the conversation gently forward. Let me say something very important here. Many students believe they must always talk more. That is not true. Good conversation is not about talking more. It's about responding naturally. Sometimes that response is just, "Oh, really?" Sometimes it's, "That sounds nice." Sometimes it's just a small question, and that is enough. If your mind goes blank, that does not mean you are bad at English. It means you are human. So next time this happens, don't panic. Don't judge yourself. Just remember this simple formula. Comment plus small question. Say it again quietly in your mind. Comment, then question. That's all you need. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need fast answers. You don't need confidence first. Confidence comes after you use these tools. One small conversation at a time. One calm moment at a time. And every time you try, even if your voice is quiet, you are moving forward. That is how English grows. Slowly, naturally, and safely. Just like this. All right, now it's your turn. And before we begin, I want you to remember something important. This is practice, not performance. No one is watching you. No one is judging your voice. No one is counting mistakes. This moment is just for you. I'll say a line, you can repeat it out loud, or you can repeat it quietly in your mind. Both are good. Both are learning. So take a breath with me. Relax your shoulders. Ready? Oh, really? Good. If that felt small, that's perfect. Small is safe. Let's try the next one. That's nice. Good. Notice how short that sentence is. Your mouth doesn't need to work hard. Your mind doesn't feel heavy. That's exactly what we want. Let's continue. That sounds good. Nice. Now I want you to notice something. You just spoke English 3 times. Not fast, not perfect,
but real. And that already matters. Now, let's gently add one small step, a question. Remember, you don't need a big question, just a simple one. Listen first. That's nice. What did you do today? Take your time. If you need a little more space, take it. There is no rush here. Let's try one more. Oh no, what happened? Good. Very good. If your voice feels quiet, that's okay. Quiet practice still builds confidence. And if you can say just one of these sentences today, maybe at work, maybe with a friend, maybe even just to yourself, that is already progress. Not big progress, but real progress. And real progress is what lasts. Before we finish, I want to say something honestly. If this style of learning feels calm to you, if it feels safe, if it feels like someone is finally not rushing you, please subscribe to the Speak Easy English show. Not because you have to, not because of numbers, but because this is how confidence grows. Slowly, quietly, one sentence at a time. Every time you come back here, you're telling yourself something important. I'm learning. I'm trying. I didn't give up today. And that matters more than perfect English. When you return, your English becomes a little more natural, not because you studied harder, but because you practiced gently. And that's how real speaking confidence is built. So keep coming back. Keep practicing. And remember, you don't need to speak a lot. You just need to speak again, one safe sentence at a time.
Let me tell you something real. Not from a book, not from a lesson plan, from my classroom. I've met many students over the years. Quiet students, shy students, smart students, hard-working students. And almost all of them can start a conversation. They can say hi. They can say, "How are you?" They can even smile. But then, about 20 seconds later, something happens. The conversation slows down. The other person finishes speaking. And suddenly, silence. The student looks down. Their shoulders drop. Their mind starts talking to them. I failed. I don't know English. I'm bad at speaking. And this moment breaks my heart every time. Because that is not failure. That is just a missing step. You see, these students didn't stop because they are weak. They didn't stop because they are lazy. They didn't stop because English is impossible. They stopped because no one ever showed them what comes next. No one taught them how to gently continue. So they blame themselves. They walk away thinking, I tried and I failed. But that's not the truth. The truth is much kinder. They were missing just one small tool, one follow-up question, one small comment, one simple line like, "What about you?" And when they learned that one thing, something beautiful happens. I remember one student very clearly. She was very quiet. She understood English very well, but speaking made her freeze. One day she came to class and said, "I can't speak English." Not angrily, not loudly, just tired. So I asked her to do one small thing. I said, next time someone speaks to you, don't explain your life. Don't try to be perfect. Just ask one question. That's all. The next week, she came back smiling. Not a big smile, a quiet one. And she said, "Teacher, I talked for almost 1 minute." 1 minute. To her, that was huge. She didn't speak fast. She didn't use difficult words. She just said, "Oh, really?" And "What did you do?" That was it. But in that moment, something changed inside her. She realized something important. Oh, I can keep talking. Not perfectly, not confidently, but enough. And that's when confidence starts. Not suddenly, not loudly,
quietly. Confidence grows when you realize you don't need to say everything. You only need to say the next thing. And I see this again and again. Students who thought they were bad at English were never bad. They were just afraid. Afraid of silence. Afraid of mistakes. Afraid of not knowing what comes next. But once they learn one small tool, that fear softens. They stop blaming themselves. They stop saying, "I failed," and they start saying, "I can try again." That's real progress. Not fast, not perfect, but real. So if you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling disappointed, feeling small, feeling like you failed, I want you to remember this story. You didn't fail. You just didn't have the next tool yet. And now, you do. And that means your confidence can grow too. Slowly, gently, one small conversation at a time.
All right. Before we finish, let's slow everything down. No new ideas, no new sentences, no pressure. This is just a quiet review, the kind that helps learning settle. I want you to remember one important thing first. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to remember it perfectly. If you remember even one small thing from today, that is enough. Now, let's review the 3 tools we practiced together. Not quickly, not loudly, calmly. The first tool is very simple. Ask a follow-up question. This means you stay with the topic. You don't change it. You don't escape the conversation. If someone says something, you gently ask one more thing about it. For example, "That's nice. What did you do today?" "Oh, really? Why?" "Was it a busy day?" These questions are short. They're normal. They are used every day by real people. You don't need a perfect sentence. You don't need special grammar. Even one small question keeps the conversation alive. If you only remember this tool today, you are already better than before. The second tool is about reaction. Give a small comment. This is where your English starts to sound human. Before asking another question, you show that you heard the other person. You can say, "Oh, really? That's nice. That sounds good. Oh no, what happened?" These words are small, but they carry emotion. They say, "I'm listening. I care. I'm here." And after the comment, you can add a question. This is the pattern we practiced. Comment plus question. For example, "That's nice. What did you do today?" "Oh no, what happened?" "That sounds good. Where did you go?" If you pause after the comment, that's okay. Silence is not a mistake. Silence is part of conversation. The third tool is your safety tool, the back question. This is the easiest one to remember. When someone asks you something, you answer, and then you say, "What about you?" That's it. This question gives you time. It removes pressure. It keeps the conversation balanced. You don't need to talk a lot. You don't need long answers. You share the conversation. And that is how real speaking works. Now, I want to tell you something important. You do not need to use all 3 tools in one conversation. That is not the goal. Some days you will use 1. Some days, maybe 2. Some days, only the back question. All of that is okay. English is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing something. Even one sentence is enough. So, let's review one last time, very gently. Ask a follow-up question. Give a small comment. Use the back question. That's it. No more rules. No more pressure. Simple, natural, enough. If you remember just this feeling, calm, safe, possible, then today's lesson worked. You are learning. You are improving, even if it doesn't feel big. Confidence grows quietly, and you are already on the right path. All right, my friends, we're coming to the end of today's lesson. And before anything else, I want to say this clearly. You did great today. Not because you spoke fast, not because your English was perfect, but because you stayed, you listened, you tried, and that matters more than anything. Today, you learned how to continue a conversation, not by pushing yourself, not by memorizing long sentences, but by using small, safe tools. That's real learning. So now I have a small question for you. Nothing difficult. Question of the day. What is your favorite follow-up question? It can be very simple. What did you do today? Was it a busy day? Why? You don't need to explain. You don't need a paragraph. Just one line is enough. And if today you don't feel ready to write, that's okay too. You can say it quietly to yourself. Practice is practice. In the next episode, we'll practice something very simple but very important. What to say after hi in English. Many conversations end too early because we don't know what comes after that first word. So we'll practice easy, safe sentences you can use right after hi, at work, at school, or when meeting someone new. No pressure, no difficult grammar, just clear, friendly English to help you take the next small step. So stay with me and let's keep building confidence, one simple sentence at a time. Until next time, be kind to yourself. Learning a language is not a race. Some days feel easy, some days feel hard. Both are normal. Just keep practicing one small sentence at a time. And remember, you are not alone here. Speak easy, my friends.